Welcome back on Italian Military Archives. In today's video, I'm covering a somewhat exotic naval topic. The story of the Italian aircraft carrier program is longer and more controversial than usually believed, and it's not just limited to the rushed decision to build the aircraft carrier Aquila in early 1941. It all started in the early 1920s, with the high ranks of the Navy discussing the opportunity of building such kind of vessel. This came in the period when British, American and Japanese navies were already testing and deploying such units. In June 1923, the College of Admirals, a leading body of the Italian Navy, gathered in Rome to discuss the matter of the aircraft carrier and whether to build one vessel of this type for the Regia Marina. The meeting was chaired by Admiral Umberto Cagni and attended by Navy Minister and Grand Admiral Paolo Taon di Revel. The College of Admirals expressed a positive interest for the aircraft carrier, outlining the importance of its tactical role. The committee thus voted in favor to start the development of an aircraft carrier with maximum displacement of 10,000 tons, capable of 30 knots of speed and with an air complement of 20 aircraft. In 1925, the first project by General Giuseppe Rota was ready. It was an hybrid design, combining the duties of an aircraft carrier and of a heavy cruiser, with a flat top serving up to 22 aircraft and 8 203mm guns, placed in two quadruple turrets. In that period, however, the modernization plan for the Navy was taking shape, and there was an urgent need to modernize the cruiser complement. In August 1925, a new high-level meeting of admirals was held. The discussion was centered on the opportunity to prioritize the construction of an aircraft carrier or new cruisers. The meeting was chaired by Mussolini himself, who at the time was temporarily covering the role of Minister of the Navy. Mussolini, in a rare expression of humility, stated, "I'm here to learn. I count on your kind and continuous cooperation." Admiral Alfredo Acton provided a detailed overview on the pros and cons of building a fleet carrier, but this time the cons were much more numerous than in 1923. The main point was that due to its geography, Italy could operate land-based reconnaissance planes and bombers on a wide portion of the Mediterranean Sea, thus reducing the need for pushing a fleet carrier into service. The financial restraints and the urgent need to renew the cruiser complement of the Regia Marina finally led the committee to prioritize other naval constructions and postpone indefinitely the development of an aircraft carrier. Mussolini then closed the discussion stating that, to summarize, an aircraft carrier is useful for a nation faced with the possibility of fighting war on the oceans, which is not our case. In the next years, further events progressively overshadowed the Italian aircraft carrier program. The Regia Aeronautica, the Italian Air Force, between 1931 and 1933 acquired total control of all aircrafts, thus denying forever the existence of an independent naval aviation, essential element for deploying an effective carrier force. The launch of the French Dunkirk class led the Regia Marina to prioritize the construction of new battleships capable of facing such threat, thus prioritizing the reconstruction of the Cavour class and later the construction of the new Littorios. Last but not least, the Regia Marina showed overall a weak determination in pursuing the development of an aircraft carrier. In this adverse context, however, new designs for aircraft carriers continued to appear. Examples are the 1929 design by General Filippo Bonfiglietti, the 1932 design of the Project Office of the Navy, envisaging a 16,000 tons aircraft carrier armed with 4 152mm guns and capable of carrying from 40 to 45 aeroplanes. The 1936 project by Luigi Gagnotto for transforming the liner Roma into a flat-top carrier. When the Second World War started, Italy had made no progress on the aircraft carrier issue. There were several designs available, but little determination to push the matter. In November 1940, after the Taranto raid, the usefulness of an aircraft carrier became evident to the whole Italian Supreme Command. Consequently, the liner Roma, which had already been sized by the Regia Marina, was brought to Genova, where its conversion into a fleet carrier started, following Gagnotto's project from 1936. The Navy blocked the construction in late 1941, but after the disaster at Cape Matapan, the conversion works quickly resumed, now following a new revised project, which resembled in a way the latest British aircraft carrier designs. The new unit was then renamed Aquila. The ship would have had a displacement of 32,000 tons fully loaded and should have reached a speed of 30 knots. However, no real sea trials were ever conducted. The armament would have consisted of 8 135mm guns in single mountings, 12 Ansaldo Terni 65mm guns in single mountings, and finally 132 20mm Breda machine guns arranged in 22 6-barrel complexes. The aircraft complement of the Aquila should have been based on the monoplane fighters Reggiane RE-2001, which would have acted also as bombers. Testing was carried out both with the Reggiane fighters and the Fiat G50 fighters, but it seems that only the Reggiane fighter would have equipped the air complement of the Aquila. The picture showed the modified versions of the Reggiane 2001 and G50 mounting the tail hook. However, aircraft conceived to be land-based do not easily adapt to operation on board carriers. In addition, the Italian planes didn't have folding wings, thus creating space and placement problems within the hangar. To gain space, the Italians designed a system for hanging additional line of aircraft to the ceiling of the hangar. You have to adapt with what you have. And speaking of adapting things, in late 1942, a curious project was put forward. It consisted of transforming the damaged heavy cruiser Bolzano into an aircraft launching cruiser. Yes, you heard that right. This bizarre project, however, was discarded and saw no further development. In the same period, the Navy started the conversion of the liner Augustus into a second aircraft carrier, renamed Sparviero. The project for this vessel was basically the 1936 original plan for the conversion of the Aquila. In summer 1943, the completion of the Aquila was not far, and the ship had tested its propulsion in port, being almost ready for sea trials. The events of summer 1943 and the armistice between Italy and the Allies in September 1943 blocked any further work on both the Aquila and the Sparviero. Shortly after the armistice, German forces occupying Italy seized the ships at anchor in Genova, and later started to dismantle some of their parts to gain steel and other materials. The two unfinished hulls remained in Genova, accumulating rust for quite some time. In 1944, the Sparviero was sunk in harbor by the Germans to sabotage the port. To prevent the Germans to further block the port with the huge hull of the Aquila, a bold operation was put in motion. It was carried out by co-belligerent Italian frogmen units of Mare Assalto, made up by former 10th MIS men that remained loyal to the king after the armistice, together with British personnel of the Royal Navy. On the 19th of April 1945, the Aquila was hit at its anchorage but not sunk. When Allied forces entered the city some days later, they found the Aquila at its anchorage, listing by a few degrees. Apparently, the Germans had no more time nor willingness to sink the ship. To draw some conclusions out of this story, if Italy would have entered the war with an operational aircraft carrier, this would have not changed significantly the outcome of the war. Probably a fleet carrier could have prevented the disaster of Cape Matapan, but at the same time an Italian aircraft carrier would have been a primary target for the British, probably becoming a target also during the Taranto raid. In addition, the unsolved problem of who controls the aircraft with what personnel would have remained, with the Navy and Air Force arguing with each other. The decision to build the Aquila and the Sparviero was a rushed decision, originated by the Navy reaction to adverse events. For a carrier to be useful and effective, its development, together with an independent fleet air arm, should have started back in the 1920s and not in the middle of a world war. I hope you enjoyed this overview on the Italian aircraft carriers, and I hope to see you in the next video.